Hello and welcome back. In this video we're going to show you guys how to can your own fresh caught tuna fish. If you hunt and fish, you might end up with a whole bunch of tuna. If you catch one big tuna like we just did, 45-pound yellowfin is a whole lot of meat and it doesn't freeze very long. So if you want to do long-term storage of tuna, canning a bunch of it is a great way to go. I'm going to show you everything you need in this video: time, temperatures, pressures, how to get it ready to go in a quick and simple video right here. Hit that subscribe button down there and check this out. Now obviously one of the first things you're going to need is a pressure canner. This is a Presto pressure canner. I will put a link to this exact unit down in the description below. If you guys hunt and fish and don't have a canner, you might want to think about getting one. This is a great way to preserve food without freezing it. Canned meat and canned fish like this will last every bit of 2 or 3 years. And it sure is nice to have some food storage that doesn't require electricity. Okay, we have a whole bunch of little half-pint sized jars all cleaned up. You want to get these cleaned and sterilized. We got our rings ready, and we have all the lids in a little pot of water, which we'll bring to a boil to sterilize these and prepare the seals. And of course, a nice bowl of fresh caught yellowfin tuna. All the red meat's removed and it's ready to go. You can cube it up if you want, but I don't think it's necessary. As long as it'll fit in the jars, you might have to trim some of it up. And while you're packing it, as you're taking it out, make sure that if you got any extra bloody meat in there, you get rid of that. Or if there's any scales on it, you take that off kind of as you go. Other than that, we're just going to kind of unceremoniously pack this stuff down into these jars as tight as we can. And you'll have to use a mixture of different size pieces. You don't want any airspace in your jars as you go. So just pack it in there as tight as you can. And we want it packed all the way to this bottom part right here on the jar. Got big airspace in there. We don't want that. So just keep poking and prodding. You're going to have some air spaces in it, but you shouldn't have a lot. A tool like this jar tool from Ball really helps as well. Pack that stuff down in there. See, it helps you really stick that down in there to the bottom and get that airspace out. And that made room for another piece of fish. Once you get it packed in pretty good, minimal airspace, that jar is ready to be set aside. All right, don't forget, while you're packing your jars, it's a good time, bring those lids to a boil, get them sterilized and ready. Canning is a great way to use up those tail pieces that are just so hard to do anything with. Canned tuna works great for that, and you could really cram some weird shapes down into these jars. See, all the weird stuff that you wouldn't do a whole lot else with other than spicy tuna maybe, sushi, is great for canning. So just get those pieces and jam them all in there and just keep packing them. Hang on, you didn't think I forgot, did you? We got to have our canning oil. So your camera won't pick this one up, but this one actually has a couple scales on it. You could really see them good in the light. So pull those off of there. Once you got all your jars packed, you want to take a little plain white vinegar. Don't take a lot, just a little bit. Your steaming lid's over, all sterilized. What we're going to do is take the paper towel, get a little white vinegar, and clean off the rim of each of these jars really well. Get a lid out. Magnetic lifter really helps. Put that on there and put on a ring. Finger tight and just a little bit more. You don't crank these down. Just a little bit. That's ready for the canner. So just keep doing that until you get all of those cleaned and lids on, ready to go. Now let's get the canner ready and get them in there. At this point, you're going to want to follow the instructions of your canner. You want to fill it with cold water. My canner says 1 inch of water in the bottom. Now we just got to add all our jars in there. All right, that's all that fits in there on this layer. So go ahead and space them out kind of evenly. Just help them cook a little more even. They can be touching if they need to, but space them out as evenly as you can. That was loud. Drop a canning divider on top of them and arrange your other jars on top of that. Now I got this one bigger jar in there. I might actually put that right in the middle. Just put these off to the side and that should work. So now we just want to secure our lid. Get that on. Remove your weight. Woo! Positive ignition. Now's the fun part. Just heat your canner up on high until steam comes out of this vent steadily. You want to vent your canner for 10 minutes before adding your weight and adjusting your pressure. All right, after 10 minutes, carefully put your weight and run your pressure up to 11 pounds. This is at sea level or pretty close to it. So now it's really the easy part, it's just a waiting game. You're going to use the heat to set your pressure, unless you have a canner that has a pressure weight on it. So once we hit 11 pounds, we set the timer for 100 minutes. So for my elevation, sea level, or pretty close to it, it is 100 minutes at 11 psi. Now this should go without saying, but only when all the pressure is reduced do you remove your weight and open the canner. All right, always tilt the lid away from you. And use those pot holders. This is still going to be really hot in there. Still see the liquid boiling inside the jars. So now we use our jar lifter, grabbing below the bands, to transfer our jars over to a towel. You can already hear some of the lids starting to pop. So we're just going to move them all over here and let them cool off naturally. See how each one of these jars made plenty of water? We didn't need to add any liquid. And that's the last one. Alright, so now we're just going to let everything cool naturally. You'll hear the jar lids seal. Any of them that don't seal, when they cool, stick them in the refrigerator, just use them up in the first week. But all of these should have sealed, and I'm pretty sure looking at them, all of them have. So give me that thumbs up like button for some easy home canned tuna. And it really is that easy to do. You will need a little bit of this equipment if you don't already have it. There are links to everything in the description below. You can actually store these with the rings off and just the lids on, and they'll last for several years without refrigeration. Not that we expect them to in our house. Make sure you hit that subscribe button down there and the bell icon so you get notified of new videos when they come out like this one. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time. Again, just finger tight. How tight? Just a little bit. Finger tight, just a little tweak. Don't crank them down. Just get them snug. Now the question's going to come up. Do you add water or anything like that, water or oil, to your tuna? No, you don't have to. You can, but I wouldn't recommend really adding anything just because the tuna is going to make enough water, tuna juice, on its own. You'll see when it comes out. No canning salt, no anything. If you want to play around with it, you certainly can. There's no rules, but don't overfill it, and make sure that it's not going to overfill itself while it's cooking. So honestly, I wouldn't add anything. Now here's a tip for you. If you're cleaning these jars and you feel a little debris on the edge where maybe you got a little tuna on it and it doesn't rub right off, if it doesn't feel smooth, you need to scrub that off of there so you get a seal. You will not get a good seal if you leave crap on this edge. Here's a trick for you. About a half a cup of white vinegar will keep your jars clean and your canner clean, especially if you have hard water. Now, if somehow you guys are canning tuna at higher elevations, your elevation pressure is going to change. So check your canning guide, or you can Google it, or check out the USDA's website for canning and all that stuff to get the proper pressure and time for your elevation. So now's the fun part. Just turn your burner on full, heat up the canner until the steam comes. Finish.